Ocean adventurers. Today we're embarking on a journey beneath the waves to uncover a secret most people never see, but one that affects us all. Hidden in the depths and scattered along our shores is a threat so tiny it often goes unnoticed, yet its impact is enormous. Meet the nurdle, a small, unassuming plastic pellet that's quietly invading our planet's blue heart. Nurdles are the building blocks of almost every plastic item you can imagine, from water bottles and toys to car parts and even your toothbrush. Each one is no bigger than a lentil, but together they form the foundation of our plastic-filled world. Factories produce trillions of these pellets every year, shipping them across continents in massive quantities. But because they're so tiny and lightweight, nurdles are easily spilled during manufacturing, transport and storage. Once they escape, they're almost impossible to clean up. Shockingly, over 445,000 tons of nurdles leak into the environment annually. That's enough to fill countless Olympic swimming pools. This makes nurdles the second largest source of primary microplastic pollution on Earth, right after microbeads and other industrial plastics. Once nurdles are loose, they're swept up by wind, rain, and river currents, traveling vast distances. They flow from factories and shipping ports into rivers, and eventually they reach the open ocean, sometimes journeying thousands of miles from where they started. On beaches, nurdles blend in with sand and shells, turning once pristine coastlines into a patchwork of colorful plastic confetti. They're so small you might not notice them at first glance, but they're everywhere, hiding in plain sight. This isn't just ordinary litter. It's a global contamination crisis, mostly invisible to the naked eye, but devastating in scale. Nurdles have been found on every continent, from remote islands to busy city beaches. Why should we care? Because nurdles never biodegrade. Unlike natural materials, they don't break down. They just break apart, spreading further and further. They're a permanent pollutant, drifting through our environment for centuries. In the next sections, we'll dive deeper into how nurdle spills happen, the harm they cause to wildlife and people, and most importantly, what we can do together to stop this silent invasion and protect our oceans for generations to come. Nurdles, the tiny plastic pellets that serve as the building blocks for almost every plastic product we use, begin their journey in sprawling, high-tech factories. These facilities are often located near ports or industrial zones, their smokestacks rising above the landscape, signaling the start of a process that will send nurdles all over the world. Deep inside, oil and gas, fossil fuels extracted from the earth, are piped in and transformed through a complex chemical process called polymerization. This process links molecules together, creating long chains that form the basis of plastic. The result, millions upon millions of tiny uniform pellets, each one a potential piece of a future bottle, bag or toy. After polymerization, the hot plastic is chopped into nurdle-sized pieces, cooled on conveyor belts, and then packed into enormous sacks or shipping containers. These containers are stacked high, ready to be shipped across continents and oceans, destined for factories that will melt and mold them into everyday items. But at every step, whether it's loading, unloading, or transferring between trucks, trains, and ships, spills are a constant risk. Even a small tear in a sack or a careless movement can send thousands of nurdles scattering across factory floors, docks, or transport hubs. Sometimes accidents are much bigger. A torn bag or a lost shipping container can unleash billions of nurdles in a matter of seconds, flooding the environment with these persistent plastic pieces. Out at sea, the risks multiply. Storms can toss containers overboard, and when they break open, it's like a plastic bomb detonating in the ocean. Billions of nurdles spill out, drifting wherever the currents take them. Once nurdles escape into the wild, they're almost impossible to recover. They wash up on beaches, scatter along coastlines, and infiltrate delicate marine ecosystems where they can be mistaken for food by birds, fish, and other animals. For industry, nurdles are convenient, easy to transport, store, and handle. But that same convenience is what makes them a nightmare for the environment. Their small size and lightweight mean they slip through cracks, evade cleanup efforts, and persist for decades. Every stage of their journey, from the factory floor to the open ocean, is a potential escape point. Each transfer, each shipment, each storm is another chance for nurdles to slip away. And once they're in the wild, they're gone for good, carried by wind and water, spreading far beyond their point of origin and becoming a permanent part of the environment. Nurdles are a stark example of how industrial shortcuts, designed for efficiency and profit, can create lasting environmental disasters, ones that we're only just beginning to understand and confront. In late 2023, a storm off Portugal caused the Tocanao container ship to lose a container packed with over 25 tons of nurdles. Within weeks, Spain's Galician coast was blanketed in plastic pellets, devastating beaches and sparking national outrage. Volunteers rushed to clean up, but separating nurdles from sand proved nearly impossible. The spill crippled local fishing and forced bans on seafood harvesting, threatening livelihoods and culture. Despite heroic efforts, countless nurdles remain buried or adrift, a permanent blight on the region. The Spanish spill showed just how hard it is to clean up after a major nurdle disaster. It's a warning: prevention is the only real solution. Once spilled, nurdles are here to stay. The disaster in Spain was not an isolated event. It echoed earlier devastating catastrophes that struck Sri Lanka and South Africa, revealing a troubling pattern of nurdle spills across the globe. These incidents, separated by thousands of kilometers and years, are all connected by the same invisible thread: the relentless spread of plastic pollution. In 2021, the Express Pearl, a massive container ship, caught fire and sank just off the coast of Sri Lanka. As it slipped beneath the waves, it released an astonishing 1,680 tons of nurdles into the Indian Ocean, making it the worst plastic pellet spill in recorded history. The scale of the disaster was almost unimaginable. In the aftermath, Sri Lanka's once pristine beaches were buried under mountains of white plastic pellets. Marine life suffered terribly. Fish, turtles, and seabirds died in droves, their habitats choked by the plastic tide. Local fishermen who depended on the sea for their livelihoods watched helplessly as their industry collapsed overnight. But this wasn't the first time disaster struck. In 2017, a violent storm battered the port of Durban in South Africa. Containers tumbled into the sea, spilling 49 tons of nurdles. These tiny pellets didn't just stay local. They rode ocean currents for months, traveling hundreds of kilometers, and astonishingly, some even reached the distant shores of Australia. These events proved beyond doubt that nurdle pollution is a truly global crisis. A single accident can send plastic pellets on a journey across entire oceans, contaminating coastlines on different continents and threatening ecosystems far from the original spill. Cleanup efforts, no matter how massive or well-organized, are always a step behind. Volunteers and workers can spend months shoveling nurdles from beaches, but the plastic keeps coming, washing ashore with every new tide. The scale of the problem is overwhelming. Nurdles are relentless travelers. Carried by powerful ocean currents, they can reach the most remote and untouched places on Earth: tiny islands, distant reefs, and even the farthest corners of the world's coastlines. Each spill leaves a permanent scar on the environment. The damage is not just visible in the piles of plastic, but in the suffering of wildlife, the loss of natural beauty, and the disruption of entire communities. These disasters are not isolated incidents. They are urgent warnings for the world. Every spill is a reminder that our actions have far-reaching consequences and that plastic pollution knows no borders. No coastline is safe from this plastic plague. Unless we act together, nurdles will continue to invade every shore, leaving a legacy of pollution for generations to come. Once nurdles hit the ocean, they become world travelers. Their buoyancy lets them float for thousands of miles, carried by currents and wind. Nurdles spilled in one country can wash up on distant, untouched shores. Scientists have found them on remote islands and Arctic beaches, proof that no place is safe. A study in Texas showed how local spills quickly become global as currents flush nurdles out to sea. Once in the ocean, they mix with sand and debris, becoming part of the landscape. There's no way to fence them in or bring them back. Every nurdle lost is a permanent addition to our planet's plastic burden. The ocean's currents make nurdle pollution a truly global crisis. Nurdles are deadly for marine life. Sea turtles, birds and fish mistake them for food, jellyfish, fish eggs or plankton. Eating nurdles causes starvation, internal injuries and death. Even a single pellet can block a small animal's digestive system. Nurdles also absorb toxic chemicals from seawater, turning them into poison pills. When animals eat contaminated nurdles, toxins enter their bodies and move up the food chain. This chemical buildup threatens not just wildlife, but humans who eat seafood. Nurdles are a direct threat to the health of the entire ocean ecosystem. They're a silent, persistent poison in our food web. Oil spills are dramatic, but nurdle spills are more insidious. Oil floats and can be contained, skimmed, and eventually biodegrades. Nurdles are solid, scatter everywhere, and never break down. Cleanup is painstaking. Billions of tiny beads mixed with sand and debris. Most nurdles are never recovered. They become part of the beach or ocean forever. While oil's impact fades over time, nurdles persist for centuries, breaking into even smaller microplastics. They keep absorbing toxins and harming wildlife long after the spill. Nurdle spills are chronic, permanent pollution, an illness the ocean can't recover from. Every accident adds to a growing toxic legacy. Nurdles are one of the most stubborn environmental threats we face. Despite the scale of the problem, regulation lags far behind. The International Maritime Organization has issued only voluntary guidelines for nurdle transport, no binding rules. Without mandatory regulations, spills keep happening. In 2025, the IMO began drafting action plans for stricter rules, but progress is slow. Technology exists to make shipping safer, stronger packaging, better stowage, clear liability. What's missing is political will. Every delay risks another disaster like Spain or Sri Lanka. The slow pace of regulation stands in stark contrast to the rapid, lasting damage nurdles cause. Nurdle pollution is daunting, but we're not powerless. Our voices matter. Demanding nurdles be classified as hazardous goods can force industry change. Beach cleanups and citizen science projects like the Great Nurdle Hunt help track and remove pellets. Reducing our own plastic use cuts demand for nurdles at the source. Every action, from policy advocacy to personal choices, chips away at the problem. Protecting our oceans means rethinking how we use and value plastic. The nurdles on our shores are a warning and a call to action. Together we can fight this persistent, preventable plague.